At the end of the year, we have to record how much of our fixed assets we have used up during that year. We covered this journal entry in a prior chapter where we record the depreciation expense. And just to quickly review what that looks like is we debit depreciation expense and credit accumulated depreciation. Accumulated depreciation is a contra asset, meaning that it belongs with something else. In this case, it belongs with our equipment, our machinery, our building, whatever the depreciation relates to. And it's a negative asset. So it always belongs with our equipment, but it's like negative equipment. It keeps track of how much of it we have used up. And then we have to put an amount of how much we have used up of that equipment. This amount is a guess. It's an estimate. In prior chapters, we used what is called the straight line method, but it's not the only method to determine how much of an asset we have quote unquote used up. And the other reason for doing this is that we need to spread out the cost of this asset over the life that we are going to use it. And it's because of the matching principle where we have to match, when we look at revenues, we have to list out all of the things that we used up to help us earn those revenues. One of those things that we used up is our equipment. So we need to record depreciation expense for several reasons. It's to spread out the cost of the asset. It's for the matching principle. What we're mostly concerned about in this chapter is not the reasoning behind the depreciation, but how do we come up with the amount to put in the journal entry? So what is the amount that we put there? All right, so the first method that we're going to look at is the straight line method. This is the one that we're probably used to. But for any method of depreciation, we need to know three things. We need to know the cost of the asset, which we should already have determined prior to this point. And again, just look at a prior video to figure out the cost is not just the contract price, but it's everything getting it ready. We know this at this point. We know the cost of the asset. We also need to know the salvage value. This is a guess. The salvage value, or the residual value, is what we think we're going to be able to get from the asset at the end of its life. When we're all done with it, what can we sell it for? Can we sell it to somebody else for a certain price? Can we get scrap value if we take it to the junkyard? Or are we just going to throw it out, and so the salvage value would be zero? We get nothing back from it. So this is a guess. Salvage value is a guess. The other thing that we need to determine is the useful life. This is also a guess. So we don't know exactly upfront how long our equipment is going to last. So we're just going to guess at it. And so of the three things, there's one thing that we know for certain, and that's the cost. And the other two things we're guessing at, so the salvage value and the useful life. In a future video, we'll answer the question, what if we were wrong on our guesses, which we often are, right? So we're often wrong with these estimates. What happens when we are wrong? Can we change this? The short answer is yes, but right now let's just look at how do we do this initial calculation. So let's do an example. Let's say the cost of a piece of equipment that we got was $110,000. We know that for certain. That includes the contract price, the installation, the delivery, so all of the things that got it ready for us to use, and that cost us $110,000. We make a guess that at the end of its useful life, we'll be able to get $10,000 back. Maybe that's just the salvage price of the metal, or perhaps we can sell it used to somebody else for a price. So somehow we think we're going to get $10,000 back at the end. And let's say the useful life here is 5 years. Again, that's a guess. We don't know exactly if it's going to last us 5 years more or less, but that's our best guess at this point. All right, the cost minus the salvage value is also referred to as the depreciable base. In this case, the depreciable base is $100,000. We take our cost, 110, we subtract the salvage, and that gets us $100,000. This is the amount that we have to spread out over the 5 years. We spread out $100,000 over 5 years. And so the other thing that we need to know is the book value. Cost minus accumulated depreciation is book value. At the start of the life of this asset, there is no accumulated depreciation, so the cost is $110,000. Accumulated depreciation is 0, so the book value is $110,000. The straight line method just takes that depreciable base and spreads it evenly over the 5 years. So we're just going to go 110,000 minus 10,000 and divide that by 5 years. So we get 100,000 divided by 5 years is $20,000 per year. That is what is going to go into our journal entry every single year. It's called straight line because if you graphed this out, if you had a graph here and you said, all right, our depreciation expenses on the y-axis and the years are on the x-axis, we'd plot it out saying the expense is the exact same every year, and it creates a straight line. So straight line depreciation. Often when we're doing depreciation, we're calculating depreciation, we fill out a table such as this down here. We will put the depreciation expense. What is the accumulated depreciation? Meaning, what is the total depreciation for every year? So if we went back to the beginning of time, how much depreciation do we have on this asset? At this point, we don't have any, so we just added that $20,000. So we started with 0, we added 20. The book value is the $110,000 minus 20,000. So book value is 90. One of the most common mistakes that I see when calculating book value is people will take the depreciable base minus the accumulated depreciation. So they would go 100,000 minus 20,000 is 80,000. Book value is cost minus accumulated depreciation. So we don't look at the depreciable base, we look at the cost. Next year, depreciation expense is going to be exactly the same, but accumulated depreciation goes up another 20,000. So we had 20,000 last year, add another 20,000 this year, that gets us 40,000. Our book value goes down another 20,000, and we're just going to keep going in this manner. And I'm filling this all out because there are a couple of things I want to point out here. So by year 4, our book value is down to 30,000. Year 5, our last year of depreciation, at least initially we said that it's going to last us 5 years. So, oops, I messed up on the accumulated depreciation column here. And then our book value at the end would be 110,000 minus 100,000, leaving us 10,000. All right, so the couple of things I want to point out is the last accumulated depreciation, when you're all done depreciating this asset, we said it would last 5 years, it's been 5 years, accumulated depreciation should equal the depreciable base. So in this case, it was $100,000 right here. The total accumulated depreciation should equal the depreciable base. The other thing I want to point out is the ending book value. Right here, the $10,000 should equal the salvage value because supposedly that is what the asset is now worth. We said it should be worth $10,000 to us. So at the very end, when we're done depreciating it, it should show that it is worth $10,000. So indeed, after filling out this table, we can do our couple of checks. Accumulated depreciation equals the depreciable base. Ending book value is equal to the salvage value. All right, so straight line is one of the most common ways to do it. It's easy to see how we spread things out. But again, it's not the only way of calculating the depreciation expense every year. And in future videos, we're going to look at the other methods of doing this.